Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the 2023 Chevrolet Bolt, and we are going to do an in-depth review of this electric vehicle. Now, those of you that don't know me, I have followed and reviewed and talked about and supposedly been an expert on electric vehicles for a while. Yesterday, we reviewed the Ford F-150 Lightning. Today, we're taking a look at this, and of course, I'm filming here at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, Jim Gilbert's Power Sports, where they sell all kinds of electric vehicles of all brands and that kind of thing, all styles. So if you're interested in this vehicle or another electric vehicle, oh boy, it's windy. Hopefully my camera doesn't blow over. Sorry about that. If you're interested in this vehicle or any other electric vehicle, make sure you subscribe to this channel because I'm going to continue to go through. We're going to talk about them. I own an EV. I own a PHEV as well. And I'm pretty knowledgeable about what's in this class. And I like this car, but there's some pros and some cons. So let's talk about that in detail and make sure you subscribe. Like I said, if you want to see this vehicle in person here at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, you can compare it alongside a number of Nissan Leafs, the Polestar, Tesla, all kinds of other cars, the Ford F-150 Lightning, and all kinds of, there's a Prius Prime here as well. Lots of electric cars to check this out compared to, so that's what we're going to do. But in this video, we're going to go in depth with a review of this exact car. Let's do that right now. Okay, so first of all, let's get this whole Chevy Bolt thing out of the way. There's a Chevy Bolt EV and there's a Chevy Bolt EUV. The EUV is essentially an electric utility vehicle. Think of it like an SUV. Kind of gets confusing. This is not that. This is just basically the economy car sized version of this, although it is a little bit SUV-like in nature in that it's quite tall, but you can tell it's got a little different front end than the EUV, and overall you've got some pretty good stuff here. You got some nice projector beam headlights, nice sort of styling here, very short hood. This does not have a frunk underneath here, so this has the powertrain, the electric powertrain underneath here, and then you have sort of that semi-SUV type like styling, economy car hatchback type styling that sort of carries through here. You have a really long windshield that comes out a long ways, and there's some pros and cons to that they deal with, which we'll show you on the inside. Let's go to the very back, take a look at that. We're gonna look at trunk space, rear seat space, before we sit inside and really start to figure out what this thing really is from the driver's seat. So let's start with the trunk. Like a lot of vehicles, this electric vehicle looks kind of normal from the back. Again, it is quite tall, even though this is just the EV, not the SUV version of this. It is fairly tall here. Let's take a look at the trunk. You have good styling here. Popping open that trunk. It is a manual trunk, not a powered trunk. You have what appears to be not a massive trunk. Now, this is a little bit misleading because underneath this floor here is a significantly deeper area. We'll get a little bit closer to show you that in just one second, but you do have a hard floor here. This one happens to have a rubber mat there, 60-40 split. So again, enough to take your groceries up here, but you're probably gonna wanna take out this floor or lower the floor in order to have the most space that you could have. It is a hatchback, so when you fold down the seats, you can actually get quite a bit of space in here. But again, class typical for a smaller hatchback. Let's just take a little bit closer look, show you what we've got in here. We'll go back seat and front seat. All right, it is the spring of 2023. We are dealing with a lot of wind outside today, so I'm gonna try to deal with that as best I can. All right, there is a handle here to pull this up. Just the weight of this rubber mat kind of tilts it back, and this can kind of sit like that to allow you access here. Now, you've got a cargo net right there. You've got your level 1 charger down here, and that is kind of part of the reason they designed these trunks to be dual level. You can store some of that stuff down there, especially that charger if you wanted to charge it. But of course, you can take this floor out, bring it right to the ground, or you can take it up and have it where I had it, which is a little bit tougher to do with this rubber mat in here. Honestly, this is not a big deal. It's just that I'm not super coordinated. All right, so when you leave it up like that, you do have that underfloor storage space. The nice thing about an underfloor storage space in a vehicle like this is, because this is a hatchback, this is actually sort of a porous material on the top here. I don't know if that's on camera right there. Yeah, so on top of here, the sunshade is kind of a soft material there. What that can do is allow the smells of things like your gym bag and other stuff to come into the cabin. So having that underfloor storage space is a good place to stick your gym shoes, your gym bag, and not stink up your cabin, but it works quite well. So let me just quickly zoom up for a second here, bear with me. That is what I was talking about with a soft. You can almost see through it a little bit there, but it is a very soft cover, unlike, I don't know if you can see that as well, soft cover, unlike the hard covers that go. Probably they do that for lightweight, but it is a little different than other vehicles, and that's something worth pointing out. 60-40 split with, again, the child latch attachments in every seat there. It's a 3-person seat. Let's go jump in the back seat to show you the space in there. All right, so with these kind of interestingly shaped hatchbacks, you have pretty tall doors here, and we'll open it up like this, and it doesn't open super wide. That might not be the best angle to sit in, but I'll show you me jumping in before I take the camera inside. You have a nice high floor. Jumping in here is very comfortable. What's weird is it looks like my head doesn't have any headroom, but it does go up significantly from the door here to give me enough headroom. Let's bring the camera inside here and I'll show you what you have and in some cases what you don't have in this car. All right, so what you don't see is I'm very glad to be out of the cold wind today. I just started filming outside for 2023, it's cold. What you find in here is it's a very quiet cabin, which is good because although electric vehicles don't make any engine noise, you tend to hear road noises and other noises, wind noise, that kind of thing. General outside noise a little bit more, and it can, because there's no engine noise as well, it feels sometimes like some electric vehicles are louder because you just hear all those other noises. So this one, very quiet cabin. As you can see, headroom is fine. I'm about 6 feet tall and I am sitting behind myself. Ooh, wrong way with the camera there. I'm sitting behind myself here and legroom is good. The problem with this car in the back seat is it's a little bit sparse. So the reason it's sparse is because this is an entry-level electric vehicle. It is very, very good from the electric vehicle side, but they have to save money somewhere. And let me just flip the camera around and I'll show you where some of that money savings goes. All right, so flipping the camera around here, we've gone fully wide angle, so the view is a little bit skewed here. This is the back of the passenger seat. And you're gonna see here, no pocket there, no vents here. Now there are vents, I'm sure, under the seat. There's no USB ports here, no any center cup holder, no center armrest beside me here, no pocket on this side either. So you're kind of missing the elements here. Now again, the seats are very comfortable, but they do save on just a few of the pieces that probably don't cost a lot, but there is some cost savings in this car, and that's something worth pointing out. That's what they do in order to make a pretty good competitive EV. They cheap out where maybe you don't have to cheap out. The other thing they're going to cheap out on is, I'll show you the front seats right now. That is the seat belt for the front seat. Traditionally, at this price point in this class, you have adjustable height seat belt pieces right here. Now, a lot of people don't even adjust those. They don't realize they're adjustable. On this car, they are not adjustable. So the seats do rise up and down. You will find that you're getting comfortable, but again, at this price point, in this class, there tends to be adjustable seat belts up in the front seats as well, and a few more areas out back that have a few more nice things for guests, which you don't have here. That being said, we're gonna go sit in the driver's seat now, and there's a lot of good up there. Where they spend their money is well spent, so let's go take a look at that right now. All right, before we jump in the car, we're back out in the wind. Let's show you the key right here. Very simple Chevrolet key. It has a unlock, a lock, and what would normally be a remote start, which is probably a remote climate button there. Typical Chevrolet key. We're gonna throw it in our pocket here. This car locks every time I go away from it, so it's probably a setting in the settings, but I'm gonna have to tap this button here for the keyless entry to unlock that door. You can see the power seats right there. Let's jump in them, get out of this cold wind again, and show you what we've got inside here. So jumping in here, I'm gonna stay with the one take here. We're gonna go, actually, you know what? We won't go wide angle for a second. Let's just start the vehicle up. Foot on the brake, starting it up. You've got something that I kind of like in here. Over on the left is your range. Now you can see currently, I don't remember the exact percentage we're at, but it's listing as 293. Minimum 240, maximum 404. That gives you a nice real world number of where you're gonna sit with your range, which I really quite like. A lot of cars will just give you the 293, where those of us who know electric vehicles know that we can eke out some more, and those of us who know that we drive aggressively know it's going to be less. This gives you a bit of a range, which is quite nice. This center display screen, you can have all kinds of things. Right now I've got sort of a bit of a compass up front. We're heading northwest. We've got a speedometer there, and I have it on the driver assistance setting with the lane keeping assist, lane follow assist type system. That is a camera system up here that looks forward, and it can see the lane markers, and it can help keep you centered in the lane markers. It also helps with forward collision avoidance assist, so the car is capable of stopping itself if you are in an emergency situation. Do not test that system. That is not something that you should be testing. You should be testing that like you test your airbags. You don't. But it is capable of helping you avoid collisions. Now, one thing you'll notice when we were at the front of the car, I showed you that the windshield was a long ways forward. It's hard to show on camera here, this aerodynamic look of coming down over here and having it forward. It's a very short hood, but that means it's a very long area here. So you have an extremely long dash. You're gonna need a little Swiffer duster to dust that out front there, or sit awkwardly up close. But from this driver's seat, I can't touch anywhere near the bottom of the windshield if I'm sitting in the seat comfortably. So that's fine, but that creates the need for extra visibility, and they do a good job with that by giving you extra windows out there. So visibility, although broken up, does not feel bad at all. It's actually quite good. You feel like you can see everything you need to see in this vehicle, and that goes for sort of the backside as well. It's hard to show you with the headrest, but pretty good. Obviously that back window is small. You've got a really good backup camera, so let's show you some of those features right now. Let's start with the screen. You know what, we mentioned backup camera, so let's just start with the backup camera. Over here. Backup cameras, of course, are required by law in every vehicle, so they're not unique, but Chevrolet does them very, very well. Now I have an issue with this screen, I think, but maybe not. I want to be clear, screens are very difficult to film. They tend to show a lot of glare, and they don't show as clearly on your camera as they are to me in person. But you can see here, very clear screen here, very precise lines here that are very good. And my issue with this screen is it is on a bit of a weird angle. It's tilted farther back than almost any car I've been in. Now, it feels weird from the driver's perspective for me to see that. However, when I actually look at it, I'm wondering if they do that to avoid glare, because they're just, even when you're filming, you can see there's hardly any glare on this. So very well done that way. All right, down here you've got a few things. Typical radio stuff, typical phone stuff. It looks like navigation, but that's just OnStar navigation, so that's something to keep in mind. Then your Eco buttons down there. I will point out that Chevrolet has announced that they will be taking Apple CarPlay away from future EVs. This one has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and that is something that I think you want in a car like this, mostly because Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are bringing you know, a lot of functionality with EV charging apps that I really think is important to your EV ownership experience, and that's a nice thing to have. So you still have them here, a very big, very responsive screen. The other nice thing about GM is a lot of cars are bringing in an OnStar competitive type system. OnStar is still, in my opinion, one of, if not the best systems for subscription services to do a lot of things for you. And of course, this car has that. What's nice about it is there's always a real person there who's super friendly to chat with. So I like that it has OnStar, Amazon Alexa in this car as well. And then the My Chevrolet, you can connect this up to an app, of course, and check things like charging and other kind of stuff. Sirius satellite radio is in this car. Lots of stuff going on. Let's go to the climate screen as well. Climate system is currently off. Every EV, the climate system is very closely tied with the power system. So in general, when you're driving an EV, you don't want to do what's going on right here. Right now, the fan speed is set at a fixed rate. Fan speed, heat, all those kinds of things can eat away at range. So what you want to do, if you want to be comfortable and efficient, is leave it in the auto setting. So now you've got the temperature set to 20, it can slow the fan and speed the fan as it needs to, it won't continue to run that. It is going to work with you to get some efficiency, and that's worth pointing out. For right now, I'm just going to turn it off just because I don't need it. But again, very good screen here, nice backup camera, nice functions here. I don't think I mentioned the audio system, let's go back to that. AM, FM, and satellite radio in here. Of course, Bluetooth streaming, there's all kinds of good stuff in here. So very, very good system here overall. And like I said, CarPlay is standard. GM, I think, is making a mistake to move away from that, but hey, what do I know? Down here, you have some redundancy in the buttons here. You can use the climate control here while also having it on the radio. If you want to control the climate control from the screen, you can do that, so that's fine. You also have rump roasters, 3 levels of seat heating, front seats, and you also have the steering wheel heater, which is very nice to have. So really good options. Again, overall comfort-wise, you've kind of got what you would need in a car of this price class. The only thing you would really lose over another car of this price class is leather seats and maybe a few little luxuries. There's a little bit more harder plastic in this car, but that's fine. Very large storage area down here. Sport mode here, that can turn on sport mode for the car. Makes it a little bit more aggressive. Your driver assist package for your lane keeping there. One thing I don't love, that none of us love, but this is just what they're doing, is they've got push buttons here. So you push this for park, you pull that for reverse, you pull this for drive, you press that for neutral. This is your one pedal driving. So everything is kind of there. But yeah, it's not, nothing's perfect, right? So it does have the push button starts here, or push button for the gear shift. It is something you get used to. What that does enable you to have, though, is a huge, huge storage under the seat here. I'm gonna go wide angle for a second here. I don't know, hopefully you can see it. Maybe we'll go this side here. What's cool about electric vehicles is they can have a fully flat floor, and that allows this massive storage space underneath where the gear shift is to carry something like a purse or something like that. So very good space down there. overall, what you see here in the steering wheel here is typical Chevrolet stuff. And that is the big thing here with this car. This is not a huge departure from a gasoline car. It feels very similar, very familiar. Like I said, the dash is a little different here, but it's not confusing. Those people who get into a Tesla may find that something like a Tesla is very difficult, very confusing. You've got all the buttons that you need to activate everything you need. There's your headlights over there. You've got your auto high beams right over here as well. So you've got kind of buttons and knobs for everything with a very well laid out and responsive screen here for some of the stuff you don't. So if the idea of something like a Tesla seems intimidating, seems confusing, you're probably not going to find that with this car. So when we talk overall driving position here, we talked about those rump roasters and the steering wheel heater. I can tell you right now, those things come very, very well. Let's talk about driving an EV. A good EV is both quiet and torquey and, builds power evenly. This does all of that. It actually rides very well as well. You have got a one-pedal driving system here, which is a button by the gear shifter. And what that is pretty common on an EV. If you lift off the accelerator pedal, we used to call that a gas pedal. If you lift off the accelerator pedal, it will actively brake, the brake lights will come on, and it will bring you to a complete stop. So that is something a lot of electric vehicle drivers are looking for. This car does that very, very well, so that's a good thing. The rest of it, though, feels like a normal car, and I think that's kind of the goal here. This is the transition type car where it's really in the price range of regular gasoline cars. It drives like a regular gasoline car, but gives you all the EV advantages. It gives you very good range for what it is. So a lot of good in this electric car, but it is an entry-level car. There is a class above this in the Tesla range, in the Hyundai Ioniq 5, Kia EV6. Those are a class above, and you're finding that very few of those makes can make great cars down this low. Obviously, Kia does offer the Niro, Hyundai does offer the Kona now in electric. Those are in this kind of class as well, but they're not hitting this price point for this feature level. And that's really why this car is selling so well. In the United States, this gets a really big tax credit, so that matters. In Canada, there are still tax credits available, but it's a little bit different here. But I would say this is a very class competitive. Where they cheap out are on things that don't matter as much. The seatbelt height doesn't matter when the seat's adjustable. You've got tons and tons of headroom here. Rear seat space, like I said, no vents, no pockets, no USB ports. If you had to give up that to have a better electric vehicle, I think they've done quite well here. So overall, the Bolt is a quite nice car, fairly spacious. Trunk's not huge, but you can make it bigger by dropping the floor. Rear seat space is good, class competitive, and driving environment is excellent. So overall, very good electric car. Let's jump out and talk about this. So let's talk about who this car is for. Well, first of all, yesterday we took a look at the Ford F-150 Lightning. And that is a pickup truck, and the problem with that pickup truck is it doesn't do all the things that most pickup truck buyers want. This, on the other hand, is a very class competitive car. Take the electric out of it, and basically the features you have in this car are class competitive with a gasoline car. Yes, at this price point, you'd probably get leather and probably a sunroof, but you do get that EV powertrain. Here's where I think a car like this does well, and it does so well that this is how I've done it myself. I think this is the perfect second car for many, many families who are a two-car family. Yes, it might be expensive for a second car, but the thing is, this can very quickly become your primary car, and that's what it's done in our household. Our EV has become our primary car. Yes, traveling with this car is possible. It has quick charging, it has pretty good charging, it has really good charging information, and you can do research on that outside of this, or you can ask me to do some more on that. But the reality is that most electric car buyers, especially when it's your second car, you're going to do most, if not all, of your charging at home. And this charges perfectly well at home and gives you great efficiency. You can drive it on the highway, you can drive it hundreds and hundreds of kilometers and still come home and charge at home. And if you're not doing crazy long vacations, there's no inconvenience with this at all, and only convenience. And some savings, of course, at the pump, because there is no pump. You're charging from home. So for me, this is where this car fits. When you start moving into the Tesla type range, yes, Tesla has a charging network that can go further, but you're getting into fairly expensive cars, and in some cases they don't feel like they give you as much as this, even though they give you different things. So I can really see why this car is starting to sell well, And we need more cars like this. This and a little bit lower priced cars in the future are going to be what help us transition to electric cars willingly. People who drive economy cars, they don't care that their car doesn't make good noises. They used to drive 4 cylinders, now they drive electric cars, it's fine. I get it if you're a V8 person who needs that V8 sound, this probably isn't the car for you. But for most of us who a car is really just an appliance to get back and forth from work, this is getting really close to a car that is a reasonable switch from a gas car to an electric car. It does cost more to purchase, you have to be in a position to do that, but Chevy's onto something here. Chevy's doing a really good job with this vehicle, and I quite like it. So is it right for you? Well, you can decide for yourself. Here at Wheels and Deals, Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. Like I said, all kinds of electric vehicle competitors in stock, new ones, 2023 Nissan Leafs, 2023 Chevrolet Bolts, 2023 Tesla Model Y right there is over there as well. There's all kinds of cars here. You can compare them side by side by side, buy them and take them home. Isn't that nice? A lot of EVs, you just can't even buy them, take them home. There's a huge wait, and that's the benefit of shopping here. If you have questions about this car or other cars in its class, let me know in the comments below, because I can come back to this car. Maybe we'll do some comparisons. Let me know what you want to see. We'll continue to make more content. Thanks everybody for watching.